thank you very much for joining us. It's such an important time, and especially for Sweden, which is, the election is coming up on Sunday, on the 9th of September. I think for people outside Sweden who don't know who you are yet, would you mind just saying your name and what it is that what your position was to start with, and then let's talk about what happened.
Yeah, my name is Bilyana Martinovski. I'm associate professor in human-machine interaction and a PhD in linguistics. My position was associate professor at the University of Stockholm, Department of Computer Systems. I've been also teaching at Gothenburg University in informatics and in linguistics. I've worked in Institute for Creative Technologies at the University of Southern California in California for about altogether 7 years.
Okay, so it's fair to say then that you were working in real sciences, not in the humanities. You were actually working in sciences which developed models that had genuine predictive value and that would not be infected too much by cultural Marxism. Is that right? Okay, let's go.
Definitely not into cultural Marxism.
Right, but so many disciplines now are right there. I mean, it's even some of the sciences I think have been tilted that way. But so you then went out and did a study, a very important sort of sociological study, or at least a study with sociological consequences, although you're working with empirical data and that had empirical findings. Is that right?
Yes, this is my work.
And would you mind telling us about the study you did?
You mean the study related to the crime and gang rapes in Sweden?
Yes, and the demography of the demographics of it and the consequences of that study. Yes, please.
Well, this is just personal. I didn't do. I suggested a research project, and the idea of the research project was to use virtual humans to support victims of aggravated and gang rapes, because these victims get post-traumatic stress disorder. And there are systems that are assisting such victims, and they are used in the United States, and they've been developed in the Institute for Creative Technologies, and they're used mainly for veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. But they are not used for victims of sexual crimes who do get post-traumatic stress disorder. So I was interested in that topic, and I thought it was a good research project. I formulated the project. In the process, I wanted to find out how many victims there are in Sweden, and trying to check that, I found out that there is no official statistics. The statistics did not inform how many are aggravated, how many were with post-traumatic stress disorder, how many are of the rapists are convicted, and it was impossible to find out what was the background of either or the other, which is very important because whatever post-traumatic stress supportive system would rely on language, and you want to know what is the deepest language of the victim and how it experienced, how the victim experienced the rapist, what language they used, or how they communicate. So there is no such statistics to this day in Sweden, official statistics. Then I found by chance online one site called gangrapesweden.com. And that site was listing all the gang rapes in Sweden. That is, all the verdicts, official verdicts of gang rape cases for the past 5 years. And when you look at the statistics on each case, I wondered, well, is this really true? Because there were so many. So what I did is I contacted every district court in Sweden. There are 43 district courts. And I asked them to send me the ledgers for only rape cases. That could be aggravated rape cases, could be gang rapes, could be not aggravated cases, could be child rapes, anything that has to do with rapes in Sweden. And I was in shock when I received about 50 registered cases in the Swedish courts, district courts, from 2012 to 2017. 50,000. I mean, the country is pretty small. It's almost the size of a city, 10 million people. So for 10 million people, 50,000 rapes is quite a high number. And these are only the cases that have reached. That is, it means that there are much more cases, there are much more reports. So you can make a report for a rape to the police that is registered as a report, but then it has to go through a pre-investigation. And as it seems, as it appears, most of the police of rapes and gang rapes are stopped on the pre-investigation level, which means that the cases that I got from the courts, these 50,000 cases, are probably a double less than what people have actually reported. So we don't have, to this day, I don't have information of how many gang rapes and rapes are reported in Sweden for the past 5 years. I have information about how many of the reported cases have passed the pre-investigation level and has moved to the district courts. They have gotten a district court number. I know of cases which were very serious, aggravated rapes that never reached a court. And that means we have at least double as many rapes reported. That is more than 100,000. But there is no information about that. So what I did is I retweeted, because I found this on Twitter, and I retweeted information from this site, and I said it is true. It is. I can verify it. All the court cases that are listed on this site, although it was an American site, are correct. They exist. They have a number. This is the exact correct verdict for those that were convicted. Now, this was in, I started doing this in the summer of 2017. I communicated with one of my colleagues, and we agreed to make a project and how to define it so it doesn't become problematic. But before we could go forward with the idea of a virtual human system assisting rape victims with PTSD, I suddenly got a letter from my department at the university without any warning, without any previous interaction other than us discussing how to make a project, that it is not okay for the university that I have tweeted on politically sensitive issues and discussed politically sensitive issues. And that's why my CV and my associate professorship was removed from the university that same day. And there was no explanation, any other explanation than that. You were discussing politically sensitive issues on Twitter. That's not okay.
So let me just ask you a couple of questions, if I may, at this point. So the first thing is, the data set you were working on was based purely on convictions, right? Is that right?
The data set that this site had published was based on convictions, on verdicts.
Right. So this means that you don't have access to numbers on total accusations, ones that went to trial but were dismissed for technical reasons or any other reason. The only data set you have is that there are 50,000 gang rape cases which actually made it all the way through trial right to a conviction. That's extraordinary, right?
No, no, no. I told you this. The ledgers I got from the district courts include all kinds of rapes, not only gang rapes. They include all kinds of rapes. They could be aggravated rapes. They could be child rapes. They could be non-aggravated rapes. Rapes. It could be any kind of rape, but they all have as a main crime rape. Now, so these data are nowhere. Only I have these data, and they were not published anywhere else. There's so many. The lists are just so many that no one has ever published that. Only this site had published the gang rapes, the verdicts of the convicted gang rapes. That's all this site had published, nothing else. And then afterwards, other people got involved, and they published statistics on all rapes. Well, the same statistics that I had, the same data that I had, but they published them not on those that are reported to the courts, on those that are convicted. So again, convicted not only for gang rapes, but also for rapes and aggravated rapes and child rapes. So again, the data that I have for the 50,000 are not lifted forward. This number is not there because people are concentrating on the convicted cases. I mean, unless you claim that now just lately, we got statistics from a newspaper that and the state kind of controlled TV that there are 843 rape cases and convicted rape cases.
Can I get that number again? I'm sorry, I didn't understand the number.
They published a number of 843 convicted for the past 5 years. So they counted until they included also 2017. Now, and they said that 58% of the rapists, the perpetrators, are do not have Swedish origin. I don't think they counted people who are born in Sweden, although they have foreign origin. They could be born in Sweden. If they're born in Sweden, they're counted as Swedes. When it comes to aggravated rapes, they found that the number on the percentage is much higher. But this is based only on 843 cases.
Aggravated means with violence, like with great ferocity? Or?
What is called aggravated here is when they use, let's say, knives. There are many cases in which perpetrators are using knives, or they use bottles, sharp edges of glass to scare the victims and make them conform. Many of the victims have cut bellies and cut parts of their bodies while they are raped, and that is called an aggravated rape. Rapes where they haven't used any kind of weapon other than themselves are not called aggravated. Gang rapes there is no such term as gang rape in Swedish legislation. So each person that is participating in the gang rape is convicted separately. They count it as separate rapes, so to say. So even if they did it simultaneously, the fact that they did it simultaneously does not really aggravate the rape. So you can't really see that there is no term that says gang rape. You just see that the same victim is involved in different court cases, in different verdicts, and then you understand that this was a gang rape.
So when they say that, is it 58%, I think you said, of these convictions for aggravated rape, or it was higher, I think, for the aggravated rape, were from people of non-Swedish origin. What
Yes, not born in Sweden.
Not born in Sweden.
They will be born in Sweden and have foreign origin. That was not counted. So now, this is what the official media presented due to a lot of pressure, as the rapes are actually continuing. Constant rapes are happening all the time. They couldn't, although they removed me from university and they persecuted me in all universities. They wrote letters where they called me a Nazi and a right extremists, just because I engaged myself in this research with the gang rapes and the rapes. That is an incredible crime in my eyes, to call me that way and to persecute me all over, nationwide. And the university was doing it themselves, not only the sort of state-supported organization that was persecuting me. The organization is called Jag är här. It means here.
So it means, well, I had a dropout there. What does it mean?
It means I'm here. This organization is called Jag är här, which means I'm here. And I didn't know anything about these people. I never heard of them. I couldn't even believe that anybody who has been working or is associated with an university would ever be part of an organization like this, because what they do is they censor people online. They shut down accounts. They shut down media, like citizen media, which are talking about politically problematic issues.
Right.
They shut them down by doing sort of swarm attacks. They attack the accounts until Facebook is forced to close them. And they have been doing this for a long time. Just I didn't know about it, as I didn't use Facebook. I was only on Twitter. So they this site, this Gang Rape Sweden site, and wanted to close the site. So I react to that and I say, why do you want to close this site? It's actually informing about something that no one else is informing about, and it's very, very important for us to act on it. Everybody is very concentrated on the numbers, on the quantity of the crimes, but they're not concentrated on the sadistic quality of the crimes. These people are attacking women on the streets in groups, like 5, 6 people, and destroying their lives with unimaginable sexual sadism. One of the women that I first reacted to when I saw her, she posted her face. They had beaten her blue. Her entire face was swollen blue. Now they were raping her on the street as she was going home, not even in a very late hour. Now, in my world, if only one person was exposed to such extraordinary, extremely damaging, sadistic crime, they should immediately be removed. But this is not happening. They are not deported. They stay. And not only that they're not deported and stay, we have to fight for it. There are people who actually want them to stay among us. Number one. And number two, if they get convicted, their conviction verdicts are extreme. The sentences they get are extremely low. In some cases, they get 2 months for participating in a gang. In other cases, 3 months. In other cases, 8 months. And that brought me to the question of the age of the perpetrators. As they are migrants, and when they arrive freely in Sweden, there is no zero control. they often appear to have lied about their age. And they lie about their age because they know that when they commit a crime, they will get just a few months if they are under 18.
Yes, and we all know that the average 10-year-old likes to engage in aggravated gang rape with a broken bottle. I have to ask you why. I'd like to know at some point why did the university respond with such hostility when you were suggesting a research program which would ultimately lead to treatment of women who had been so sadistically and brutally abused? It looks like both by their rapists and by the state who's refusing to acknowledge they exist.
Yes. Since then, I have learned a lot about the situation in Sweden because I asked myself the same question. Why aren't you interested in protecting women and children in Sweden? That is a very simple question. It shouldn't be a big issue. It should be a big issue to resolve, but it shouldn't be an issue that causes someone to be removed from universities and persecuted nationwide for. There is the explanation for this is that there is an entire network of activists who are part of the university, particularly in the communication departments of the universities in Sweden, who with impunity performing this kind of persecution of individuals. I am the worst case I know in Sweden in modern times of political persecution as a private person. I was tweeting as a private person. Yes, I am a person who has published books, and I have articles, and it is part of my persona that I am a scholar, but I am also a private person, and I have the right to have to discuss political issues, especially when we are voting. Why deny me that right with impunity? That is, there was no due process. There was no discussion. I was removed the same day that they received the letter from this I'm Here organization, which told them she's a Nazi and she's extremist. Have to remove her, and they immediately did it the same day. And then they started an entire persecution program, going from university to university. The same people, the main person from that organization that did that is Kaiser Klein, an activist, a long-term activist who has been involved in a Move On movement.
Yeah, George Soros is behind almost all of this, isn't he? So it was activists at MoveOn.org, which I think is a George Soros-funded organization.
They were funded by him. She started something called Democracy Aid. What she did was she was collecting money from non-Americans to influence the election 2004 in the United States, which is illegal. So even MoveOn.org her and said, that's illegal, we cannot do this. So this woman has moved back to Sweden after that and started this kind of activism in Sweden. She has published articles, which I saw online in Open Democracy and site. And there she expresses outright extremely globalist views. She accuses Swedes for being parochial. They voted against the euro in 2003. She wants a global government. That's it. She doesn't want to have individual countries with their communities and their rights and their legislation. She wants to have one global government.
Which is Marxist, inevitably, yeah.
Yes, yes, it is, and it's in its extreme in its aggression towards anybody who they don't even know me. They met these people. They don't know anything about me. They never read me. They never read my research. So the university approached that by issuing based on that. So these people are not involved with the university. They're not employed in the university, and yet the university, Stockholm University, started a political monitoring of my name everywhere online. What I say, who talks to me. And I was completely unaware of it, but I waited a little bit to see what they will do. And then I asked for their correspondence, the correspondence between this organization and these activists and the university. And they have the obligation to send me everything that has to do with my name. But they didn't send me all the data, all the emails. They sent me some of the emails, but even what they send me, it's 100 pages correspondence. Even that shows the absolute disregard of any of my human rights as a private person, not to mention as a scholar.
Or your legal rights either, I would imagine, right? Your actual legal right. I would imagine Sweden has some kind of constitution, democratic constitution, which guarantees the rights of the individual against the state.
Yes, yes, of course it does. And then it does, but then what you see is, one of the things she wrote to the university was that she has police reported me for being a Nazi, or as they call it here, right extremists. And this has nothing to do with right extremists, because Nazis are not National Socialists. They are socialists, they're leftists. So you cannot be right extremist and at the same time be a Nazi, because one is leftist and the other one is right.
Yes, and it's not a circle, it's a continuum, because people who are on the right believe in small government, individual rights, and letting people sort out their own, right of self-defense. You can't believe in government solving all your problems and controlling the population and be right-wing. You can't.
Exactly. And when they, here in Sweden, I don't know if it is the same in Canada, but this is a major semantic, linguistic double thing trick. They call everybody right-wing extremist or right extremist, and associate that with Nazism. And this is contradiction in terms. I'm not politically, never been politically active. I have voted only once in Sweden, and it was for a party that had to do with freedom online. But to throw such labels that are, to call someone a Nazi is almost like calling someone a criminal, a war criminal.
It is.
And they are throwing this around as if it's nothing, as if they completely disregard not only our rights but also history and historical facts, that the Nazis were sitting on the left side in the parliament in Germany, and what have Swedes to do with the German Holocaust? They have nothing to do with it today. None of us even thinks about it. But this is the kind of attack you're getting, and it has gotten so crazy that completely unknown to them person, just a person who is the gang rapes and verifying the data, is a person that they immediately throw out, label, and that's it. This is called career assassination. Not only character assassination, but the career assassination. I am unable to, I cannot get an employment anymore. And I was not allowed to even apply for a research project. There is no chance that I will get a research project as it is now. There is no change to this swamp of illegality. And this woman had also written to the universities that she has reported me to the police. So I went to the police, I gave them my ID, and I asked, could you please check my records? What am I reported? What have I done? What am I reported for? And there was no report. So she lied to my employers, all of them, that I am police reported when I'm not police reported. She went into the one of the biggest media here. It's called Dagens Nyheter, and this group has a direct connection to Dagens Nyheter that is constantly abusing people, like private people, for their political views. And they published lies. They said that they have nothing to do with this. She has never written a letter to the university, and she doesn't know what we're talking about. And she did it before I got all the emails. So I waited for her to come out and talk. And when she lied most blatantly, then I could show the actual emails and show clearly that she has written directly these letters to the university, and not only one university, but to other universities.
Wow.
And they are literally persecuting me and lying in mainstream media.
Да здравствует свобода! Внимание, внимание! Вы слушаете радиостанцию «Свободная Россия». Говорит НТС. Народно-трудовой союз российских солидаристов.